All right. Good evening. Good morning, everyone. My name is Joel Koenig, Joel-ATX and whatnot. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I am Michael Cruz, or better known as CruzCards on Whatnot.
So this is the very first five with Joel-ATX. I wanted to pick Mr. Cruz because he was actually one of my favorite streamers when I started buying. I remember you used to stream out of your garage, right?
I did, yeah.
Maybe? Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I remember about you is you did those 3 second sudden deaths, and it was hilarious. Like it was so unique and different, and it was nerve wracking, wasn't it?
It was. It's actually how I started, just trying to, I think everybody tries to get their niche at the beginning, right? And so I would take anywhere from 20 to 25 cards and just run them at 3 seconds. And they would literally be anything from, just RPAs to downtowns to different case hits. And
Yeah.
just to get people, just to get my name out there, really.
Well, it worked because you were quite memorable. So, system stats. So, Premier Shop, very impressive. Five-star rating, 20,000 followers, over 16,000 cards sold. Dude, that's crazy. Let's talk about your first show. What do you remember about your first show?
It's actually been 2 years. September of so I guess 2023 now was my first show. I just remember we actually didn't do it in the garage. We actually set it up in our living room because my wife and I
Got it.
didn't know how this was going to work. Honestly, we tried to promote the hell out of it. We went into different streams. I started to learn who like Cream Cards was, or Cream, and
Yep.
Pickbin has obviously been a big influence on me. I started this with Pidge and Pickbin, and I would just do givvies and try to get my name out there. The thing that I remember most about my first stream is that we numbered the cards wrong. And when we were running them. And so my wife and I actually had to go back and rewatch the 2 hour stream to make sure that we didn't send out the wrong cards. And that was a big learning experience. And the second biggest thing was that we did not have, or actually, honestly, it's only been the last 6 or 7 months. Oh God, 6 or 7. It's only been the last 6 or 7 months, but we didn't
Yeah.
have a what do you call that printer with the label printer or whatever? Uh,
Not laser, but I know what you're talking about.
yeah, well, we
Um,
didn't have that printer. We were
thermal,
literally
thermal,
thermal. Yeah, we
thermal
were
printer.
literally printing
Yeah,
them from a regular printer and like duct taping the labels on there. So, but yeah, those are the things I remember the most.
it's funny when you think about those times. It's like it's so archaic, everything we were doing. Like, yeah, using a real printer, or just like, dude, so I'm a stacker. You're a numberer, right? So I stack, right?
Yep.
So Cruz, you buy a card, I put a post-it note, I start creating a stack. Towards the end of the show, I had too many beers, and I backed my chair into the table.
Oh
All the stacks fell
no.
all the stacks fell down. And what sucked is, like, you got to keep your cool and not tell people what happened.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Nothing happened,
I'm,
right?
I'm, yeah, I'm live and I'm just looking at all the cards just like in disarray. So I had to do the
Everywhere.
same thing. Oh, the things you learn, I tell you.
It's good
Um,
stuff, man.
it is, it's a blast. It's a blast. So you've done tons of shows. Right now, let's talk a little about the hobby right now. I feel like we're in kind of it's a little, hmm, sales are a little low, I guess you could say, at least from what I've seen and from what I've heard from like our Chill Streamers network. What are some of the current trends you're seeing in the hobby right now?
Being my second year, you realize that this time, and when I say this time of the year, I mean like this right after Halloween, going into Thanksgiving, going into Christmas. Even though we're at the heart of basketball season, and quite frankly, we're at the kind of the meat and potatoes of football season, people are starting to back off a little bit, right? And rightfully so, right? Not to get too deep into it, but obviously everything that's happened politically and everything that's happening with day-to-day life, that plays a factor into it. But just this time
For
of year,
sure.
being my second year being a streamer, people start to slow down a little bit because we know that expenses are coming. Christmas is obviously a wonderful holiday, or Thanksgiving's also a wonderful holiday, and we know as people that we're going to spend a ton of money in the holidays. And so you do see a lot of the streams start to slow down. You do see people probably not bidding as much as you would think they're bidding. And you do go
Yep.
to the card shows, and you'll see people be a little bit more cautious and even selling their cards at this time. So yeah.
So on the flip side, it's a great time for a buyer, isn't it?
I think so. If you know how to buy, right? And that's one thing. I know we'll probably get into this a little bit, but that's one thing I always try to tell people is I screwed myself probably at the beginning because I didn't know how to buy. I didn't know how to comp properly. I didn't know how to make the right kind of deals. I'm not the type of person that wants to screw anybody over, right? I mean, that's obviously a totally different subject, but I also don't want to
Yep.
screw myself over in the buying process. And so as long as you know what works for you, because I think one of the questions that you asked me before this was how do you know what to buy for your stream? Well, it's going to take you probably 20 to 30 streams to know what people want in your stream. So when I go to a card show, I'm not going to go out and go buy a bunch of Optic Color or Select Color because it doesn't sell well in my stream. Honestly, the stuff that sells well in my stream are going to be the autos, are going to be the RPAs, are going to be the case hits. So you have to start to learn what your audience wants because everybody's audience is always going to want something different from every person. So if you know what your audience wants and what you should buy, then you go into these card shows or into other streams and you're kind of pointed towards this is what's going to make my audience pop and what's going to bring them to my show. So
It's a great segue. We're actually going to talk about just procuring inventory, and that's something that you do very well in. I think what I like about you is you can tell that the cards you sell, especially on your like your nighttime shows, those
mhm.
are cards that you passionately love, right? And
Yep.
then I love your I think you call it coffee. It's your
The
morning
coffee and
show.
cards. Yeah.
So tell the audience a little about what that's about.
Yeah, so I mean, on my coffee and card show, it's really I like to show everybody the cards I procured throughout the week. Like for example, I mean, like I got all this stuff, all these cards coming up for my show, and I like just
Yeah.
displaying it and talking to people about it. Quite frankly, like for me, I buy the stuff that I know very well, meaning the sports. Like I buy football, I buy basketball, I buy heavy. I can buy wrestling because I know wrestling very well. I tend to steer away from stuff like UFC, from baseball, from soccer because they do sell well, but I can't sell them. So
Right.
if someone asks me who my favorite soccer player is, you're not going to know this person, but I'm going to say Tattoo. And you may, but Tattoo is like
Nope.
a soccer player from the 1980s that played the indoor soccer league, and he was big here in Dallas, right? That's like the extent of my soccer knowledge, right? And
Yeah.
so that's why and I think that's what helps me as a streamer and also as someone who sets up a shows is that if I talk about Giannis, if I talk about JJ McCarthy, if I talk about Keon Coleman, Puka Nakua, etc., I'm going to know when people ask me the question of, okay, what are his stats? What are his team record? I can literally tell you while I'm streaming, and that's where people gravitate towards it. Or if they ask me about wrestling and I tell them about my passion for Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Roddy Piper, they know that I know what I'm talking about. So that, and when I go and I start selling the baseball cards, I'm like, hey, I don't know much about this guy. I know it's Shohei Ohtani. I know they won. That's it, you know?
We could talk for another hour about the golden era of wrestling. By the way, that was my era as well.
That might
Oh
be
yeah,
podcast number two. Yeah.
Killer Bees, JYD, Jake the
There you
Snake.
go.
We could go on forever. Um, so as far as you mentioned it before, I think that's the number one mistake, in especially new streamers make is procuring inventory. You tend to overspend because you forget about the fees, you forget
Yeah.
about the shipping that you're paying for when you're buying directly and whatnot.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little about that because I know that you kind of have that down from a procurement standpoint. So what are some things you do to make sure that you're buying smart?
Honestly, I'm very old school, right? I mean, I'm 45 years old. I grew up in the era where I have to kind of catalog everything and itemize and give a price to everything. So it doesn't matter if I'm buying off of Whatnot, if it doesn't matter if I'm buying at card shows or just personal deals. I will literally take every card that I bought. I will put a price tag on it when I get home, and I will say, I bought this from Joel. I bought this from Joel. This is how much I paid, and I tag them during my stream. So, for example, if you notice,
Oh,
and I won't show
interesting.
you the names on here, but if you notice on the back of the cards I run in my stream, they have a post-it note. And the post-it note
Hmm.
actually has the name of the person that I bought it from. And so my person that helps me and this is difficult. What happens is that she will literally write the amount that it sold for. I'll go back and I'll audit how much I paid for the card, and then I'll see how much I either made or lost on the card, so that I have an understanding of like, okay, I need to buy these type of cards at a better percentage, or I need to maneuver better. Because when you go in and you get, I mean, you're gonna see it on Saturday. I'm gonna run 10 to 12 downtowns, 10 to 12 uptowns. I need to see if I'm paying properly and understanding the value of the cards on what they're running on my stream, right? You
Sure.
can't, people see, the one thing that I think that people make a kind of a big mistake on is they go into some rooms and they'll see like, oh my gosh, somebody sold a Roma Dunze Uptown for $250 and the comp is only 170. Well, just because one streamer sold it for 250 doesn't mean you're going to sell it for 250. You've got to understand your room. You know what I mean? You got to understand your room. You got to understand what your room is going to go for, and how you can buy. And it takes a lot of time. I'm not a full-time streamer like a lot of these people are, but I think that's kind of one of my goals, is to maybe get there. And I think me being a little bit OCD with the pricing and what I sell them for is going to help me in the long run if I decide to do this kind of a little bit more full time. So
It's all great observations, and I love your strategy. I love how you're actually kind of keeping track of each sale to see if you made money, if you broke even, or if you lost money. Um, the truth is, whatnot comps are completely different than eBay comps. Would you
yeah.
agree?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I
Not
mean,
even, you can't even, there's not even a comparison and whatnot and how to comp a card. And I think um, that's something that whatnot needs to work with Card Ladder or Alt or whoever on, and figure out
yeah,
how they can get the analytics on getting the comps for the cards. It's going to be hard. I mean, Joel, you stream too. I do the same thing. When we go in, we post our shows, we put singles and we just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You know what I
yep,
mean? And
yep,
that's not going to be, I mean, what are you going to do? How are you going to know it's a Giannis if it's just single number one, right? And
yeah. You're not.
there's, I'm in IT professionally, and so there's got to be something that whatnot can do with AI that'll help them read the cards on a quicker basis, recognize it in a database, and help us. Because um, I think from a longevity standpoint, if we want to whatnot to be successful, because I think it's a great platform, there's a lot of bad shit that we can say about whatnot, right? But there's also a lot of good that you can say about it, because it is the fastest and
Yep.
quickest way to move inventory. But the only way I think it's going to sustain itself over the next 10 to 15 years if we can start to comp the cards right. If we can't start to comp the cards right, there's going to be a lot of people that leave whatnot, and they're already due daily because they're like, I overpaid by 300% on a card. I'm done with whatnot. I'm going into my phone right now and I'm deleting the app and I'm never going back. So we've got to
Yeah.
find a way to be able to get some kind of data that shows us what the cards are selling for on whatnot.
I feel like, you know how they're trying to push quality listings. I can see them eventually getting to the point where if you're a streamer, you have to have a legit quality
Yeah,
listing for each single item you and there's your solution. Now it's going to take a while, and some people will hate it, like myself and maybe you, but you get the end game. Like it betters the hobby. It's fair for the buyers and the sellers. So
I agree.
awesome. We're pretty much at time. Last tidbit is your best advice for a new streamer, and you can't say don't do it.
No, I can't say don't do it, because I do it, right. I think you have to understand what cards you have. I think you have to understand how to promote yourself, and most importantly, I think you have to understand that you can't be a rude person while you're streaming, and you can't think about every single loss that you're making on the card,
I
because
love that.
if you want to be successful in this industry, when I say industry, whatnot is its own industry versus any type of card show. Card shows are always different than is always going to be different than whatnot. To be successful in whatnot, you're just going to have to be able to take the risk for yourself. That's the only way you're going to be successful. So
Yeah, so I want you guys to jump on CruzCards show, and you'll notice no matter what the price goes for, he's positive, he's laughing, he's happy. Either he's happy he made money, or he's happy that you got a great deal. Either way, his attitude doesn't change, and I think that's why he's such a great streamer. I mean, that's why people love hanging out on your stream. So I'm gonna post all the awesome information for people to be able to follow CruzCards, Instagram, your CruzCards LLC, obviously your CruzCards and whatnot. Anything else I'm missing?
That's it. Always buying,
That's it.
always selling. So you guys just hit me up.
All right, buddy. Really appreciate the time, man. Have a great night.
Thank you, Joel. Talk to you soon, my man.